Looking at what's within your responsibility and your realm now for addressing inflation, you've outlined a 3-point plan: relief, repair and restraint. Your upcoming May budget, how tough is that going to be?
Well, I think it will be difficult because we need to recognise that any investments we make have to have an economic dividend, and they can't make this inflation problem even worse. So we will provide some responsible cost of living relief without pushing up inflation.
But just looking at the restraint part of it.
Yeah, well, what we showed in October is it's possible to invest in growing the economy and fixing our supply chains and providing cost of living relief, whether it's early childhood education, cheaper medicines or in other ways. You can do that in a responsible way. And so what we started in October will continue in May. There will be the best balances struck between that cost of living relief, repairing our economy and growing it the right way, and showing that restraint, which has been so important. And the Governor, Phil Lowe, said in the Parliament last week that has been an important part of not adding to the inflation challenge in our economy.
Your October budget, though, did have a net spending increase. Will your May budget be contractionary?
Well, it's important to remember the size of the spend in the budget does matter, but what also matters is what you're spending it on, the quality of it and whether you get an economic dividend.
So there'll be another net spending increase in May, or you're looking at decreasing spending?
Well, the budget's not finished yet. In the middle of February, we haven't finished the May budget yet.
But what
we showed in October is you can show restraint. What we did in October was we banked almost all of the upward revision in revenue, which came from better prices for our commodities. We did that at the same time as we invested in cheaper childcare and some of these other things which are important for the economy.
Yes.
The size of the spend matters, but also what really matters is the quality and whether it will grow our economy without adding to inflation.
But given inflation has increased since the October budget, will you looking at having a net decrease in spending in your May budget? Is that something that you're working towards?
Well, we haven't finalised the objectives of the budget in May, apart from saying it will be those combination of things that you were kind enough to mention a moment ago: relief and repair and restraint. They will be the guiding principles, but we have to strike the right balance here. I mean, the peak of inflation is hopefully now behind us. We expect that inflation peaked in the December quarter. We expect the economy to slow as a combination of these global pressures and higher interest rates, so we need to balance that as well.
Are you prepared to be an unpopular treasurer in order to bring down inflation?
Oh, of course I am. I mean, already we've had to say no to some spending proposals from around the country that in normal times, without these kinds of fiscal constraints, that we would like to do. But governing is about making decisions. They're not always going to be popular, obviously. But we need to work out what we can afford, what's most important, how we sequence some of our other priorities, and that's what we're doing.
The Stage 3 tax cuts, they take effect from 2024 to the tune of at least $254 billion, and it'll be higher than that. Are you reconsidering the timing of these Stage 3 tax cuts, given the level of inflation?
No, we haven't changed our position on the Stage 3 tax cuts, and even were we to do that, it wouldn't have an impact on this inflation that we've got right now, which is hanging around higher than we'd like for longer than we'd like, even though the peak is behind us. Those Stage 3 tax cuts, as you rightly say, don't come in for more than 12 months now. We've got an economic plan which is all about relief and repair and restraint, and we haven't changed our position on those tax cuts.
I know you haven't changed your position yet. I also know government speak. Is this something you might consider? Because while the peak of inflation is expected to be this year, it's not going to get back to that 2 to 3% target until 2025 at least. So is this something you are looking at?
It's not something we're considering. You know, we sit down with the Expenditure Review Committee and work through all of our options for the May budget, and this isn't on the list.
Isn't it dangerous to be injecting at least $254 billion into the economy given where inflation is?
Well, we don't know precisely where inflation will be when these tax cuts kick in. We've got our forecasts and we've got our expectations. They are difficult to arrive at even in the most certain times, and so obviously there's an element of uncertainty there. But we haven't changed our position. It's not something we're working up for this budget.
It's my first day back from maternity leave today. You've got 3 young children. People don't often ask dads about work-life balance. How hard is it for you each week to leave your 3 kids and your family at home as Treasurer to go to Canberra and travel the country?
Well, first of all, I mean, welcome back to your brand new show on weekdays, and congratulations.
Thank you, Treasurer.
And when it comes to managing work and family, I think everyone's in a similar kind of position. Everyone's trying to balance it. Everyone's worried about whether they're being a good mum or a good dad. I don't think I'm the only one who worries about that when they're getting on a plane or something like that. I think about it every single day, whether or not I can be better. at being a better dad. But we try and strike the right balance. I'm very fortunate at home. I've got 3 wonderful kids, and Laura's terrific. Mum helps out, and Laura's family helps out when they can. And
it's hard leaving them.
We do the best we can.
Thank you so much for your time, Treasurer. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sharri.